Good choice. I'm choosing what video to watch there. If you don't know, I've got a whole bunch of MazdaSpeed content coming out right now, and if it does well, good response, then I'll keep doing it. So hint, hint, I think you understand. Literally not doing it for the cloud, it's just so I know if it's worth my time. But anyway, today we're going to be comparing the first gen Speed 3, the second gen Speed 3, and the Speed 6. Which MazdaSpeed should you buy? And yes, I know there was a MazdaSpeed Miata, but they're so rare and different to all of them that I think if you want that, you'll know to get that. But yeah, let's get into it. Welcome back from the intro. Now first, let's talk about why you should buy a first gen Speed 3, because this is the Speed 3 that I would recommend to most people, not only because it's the cheapest, but also it's the best driving. First off, let's compare it to the second gen Speed 3 and say why the first gen is better. First off, the first gen is a lot more eager, chuckable. It's a more fun to drive car. Now this is because it weighs 50 kgs less. It's got a lot shorter gearing, which means you'll need to be changing gears more often. That's more driver involvement. And since the Gen 1 has full hydraulic steering and the Gen 2 has hydraulic steering with an electric pump, the first gen Speed 3 steering is a lot more direct and crisp. The first gen also has a lot better seating position, makes it feel more sporty, like you're in the car, not on the car. Even though the second gen, you don't feel like you're on the car, but it's better, isn't it? The first gen also has a lot less tech, which means a lot more driver involvement, and also makes it more fun. For instance, the torque limit. All Speed 3s have a torque limit in first, second, and third. However, in the first gen, the torque limit is much lower. This means in the first 1, 2, and 3rd gear, you have more power and more torque. Now this leads to increased torque. Now it sounds bad, doesn't it? But here's the thing, when you're driving, torque steer is fun. It adds drama, excitement to it. And that's what the first gen's all about. It's exciting, it stimulates you, it's harder to go faster, the driver has to get more involved. And yeah, and adding into that is the shorter gearing on the first gen. This means that the driver will have to change gear more often, more driver involvement, and more fun for you. And what does all this add up to? It means that the Speed 3 first gen is a more eager, chuckable, fun, involving drive than the second gen. Now let's talk about acceleration and track times and all that. The first gen Speed 3 does a 0 to 100 in about 5.8, 5.9 seconds. While the second gen does it in about 6 seconds, 6.1, because, of course, like I said before, the torque limit in the second gen is much higher. You have more power in the first 3 gears in the first gen. Now let's talk about track times. Now track times on tracks like the Bedford Autodrome West Circuit, the Ceres Racing Circuit, and Tacuba, the first gen Speed 3 is fast. However, on tracks such as Raceland, Inter, and Bao'oko, the second gen is faster. But here's the thing, when the second gen's faster, it's faster by a bigger margin. Now I suspect that's because the added technology makes it more easy to drive fast, and that's what this first gen has. It's harder to drive fast, the driver has to work harder to go faster. Now let's do Gen 1 Speed 3 versus the Speed 6, why the Speed 3 is better than that. So the first gen is like 200 kgs lighter than Speed 6. Well, the Speed 6 has got 4-wheel drive, and it's also a much bigger car, but this extra weight is what gives the Speed 6 its less tight handling dynamics. The Speed 6 is more at home on a fast sweeping bend than a tight hairpin. So round the funner, tighter corners, the first gen Speed 3 does actually drive better. Now you might say, oh, front wheel drive, not good, all wheel drive. Here's the thing now, all wheel drive also does mean understeer. Stuff like the STI understeers. The Speed 6 also understeers, it's not as bad as an STI, but it understeers, which is the same as the Speed 3. However, if you get a rear anti-roll bar on the Speed 3, you'll be cocking a wheel around the corners and doing some lift-off oversteer.
That's a wheel in the air.
So overall, if you want the cheapest speed, go for Speed 3. If you want the most involving, funnest, eagerest drive, get the first gen Speed 3. Now, why should you buy a second gen Speed 3? How's a second gen Speed 3 better than all the rest? The second gen Speed 6 has different tuning to it. This allows for a more useful power curve. It also has a front scoop. Now this allows more air to get on that intercooler, which means less heat soak in the second gen Speed 3. It also has longer gearing, which means you need to change gear less, which can be better for better lap times and all that. Combine that with less torque steer to do that torque limit, it's actually an easier car to go faster in. So it is actually a more capable car, but like I said before, it's just a bit less fun. But the main thing you want from the Speed 3, and this is the people I'd recommend it to, if you are daily driving it and you want a nicer car to drive around with more technology, more comfort and more refinement, this is the MazdaSpeed I would recommend. While the interior isn't as hot boy as the first gen Speed 3s, it's a more modern interior. It also has more technology. It's got push start Bluetooth, of course with Bluetooth phone. It's got leveling headlights, heated seats. It's also got nicer trim with nicer colours and textures on the door cards and the dash and all that. It's a nicer car to drive long distances in or daily drive. Though if you're building power, it's also got better sleeves, rods and pistons. Not too much better, but a little bit better. So if you do want to build big power, you don't really care how it drives, this second gen is also better. Compared to the Speed 6, it's much the same as the first gen versus the Speed 6. It's a lot lighter, it's a lot happier in the tighter corners, so that's why a second gen Speed 3 is best. Now let's say why we think the Speed 6 is the best. First of all, it is all-wheel drive. So if you live perhaps in North America and you've got snow, you gotta be going with a Speed 6. If you've been 10 years owning front wheel drive cars and you want to change it, get a Speed 6 because it's all wheel drive and that's its biggest plus. It is also a much bigger car. So if you want more legroom in the back for your children or a bigger boot, definitely go for a Speed 6. It's definitely the best family car out of the lot. And trust me, you may think that a Speed 3 will suffice as a family car. Trust me, if you go on road trips and stuff, there is not enough room. The Speed 6 also has a much more professional interior. It's not as new as the second gen Speed 3 and not as hot boy as the first gen Speed 3 interiors, but it is a more professional setting. And of course, if you are building big power and you want some grip, all-wheel drive in the Speed 6 has got to get you there. So then, the Speed 3, the first gen, is best for someone who's either on a budget or wants a car that drives really nice, really eagerly, and really involving. The second gen is best for people who either want more tech and more comfort, or the stronger rods, pistons and sleeves. They're not too much stronger, they are still strong. And buy a Speed 6 if you need that all-wheel drive, or if you want a family car, a nice daily drive. Also, you got to talk about looks in here. Personally, I like how the second gen Speed 3 looks, but everyone will be different. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.